These are both from September. One I'm going to read just because I agree with it super strongly. And I also have observed you following this advice very well, which is all self-help boils down to choose long-term over short-term. I would modify the tweet to say, though, all truly effective self-help boils down to choose long-term over short-term. And
I mean, that is the entire challenge, which is long-term thinking gets you long-term results. And I've said this 1,000 different ways. In business, you want to play long-term games with long-term people. In your modern life and addictions and kind of just dealing with the avalanche of all the abundance of things that are thrown at you that are really traps, like video games are a trap. There's a shadow career that substitutes for your real career, or, smoking weed or drinking alcohol substitutes for like pleasure through more simple things like sunlight and walks, and porn substitutes for sex, and the list just goes on and on.
I thought you were saying walking, sunlight, and porn. I was like, now we're talking. Right. Yeah, that sounds about the trifecta.
But look at the related tweet I had is the modern devil is cheap dopamine. And some interesting people on Twitter point out to me, actually, the ancient devil is cheap dopamine as well. But in modern times, we've just hyper accelerated it. The modern mind is overstimulated. The modern body is understimulated. We've just taken all the creature comforts and we've maximized them to 1,000 times. And so literally all of success in life boils down to a variation on the marshmallow test, where, can the kid like hold off on eating the marshmallow for 15 minutes in exchange they get 2 marshmallows. And the claim is that turns out to be a big predictor for future success, although like many psych experiments, I don't think it replicates well. But anyway, so it just boils down to long-term versus short-term. And if you can just adopt long-term thinking in your mindset, you're just going to have a much easier life. Or as our favorite trainer, Jerzy Gregorek, says, hard choices, easy life, easy choices, hard life. That's it. Right. So just, can you take the long-term view in anything? Compound interest applies everywhere. It applies in relationships. It applies in money. It applies in health and fitness. Can you change your habits to read the kinds of books that you think will serve you best in the long term, the foundational books? Can you change your eating habits so that you're eating healthy food as opposed to unhealthy food? Can you create an exercise routine that you can do every day or every other day so that it's a consistent part of your life? And so I think a lot of it boils down to just choosing the long term or the short term. And all the hacks, the good hacks, basically help make the long term choice palatable, or they help inspire you to kind of keep your eyes focused on the long term. So an example is, if you're doing something that you love, if you're running a business that you enjoy, it is probably going to be more fun than playing a video game. If you come home at night from work and your first instinct is to play a video game, you're suffering at work. You're working just as hard in the video game, but the rewards are all fake, because they're going to change the rules on you, or some 13-year-old kid on the internet will destroy you because they just play that video game all day long. And I used to be a hardcore video gamer. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I did learn playing games for sure. But, at this point, at this age, I pick up a video game, I'm doing it to get away from suffering, and I'm not really getting anything out of it. I could play the video game of investing, or I could play the video game of starting companies, or I could play the video game of, go and play tennis, and that would be good for my health. So it's good to find, so I think a lot of it is about finding the thing that you can do that is fun for you, that looks like play, that feels like play to you, but looks like work to others, that you can do that sustains you for the long term. So for example, in foods, what you want to find is, you want to find what is the health food out there that other people consider healthy and is nutritionally healthy profile, but that I find tasty. Because if I can create those foods, if I can become a good cook and create great foods that I enjoy eating and I like them and I can eat them regularly, but they're actually super healthy, that's amazing. That's a hack now. Now I'm eating for the long term, but I'm not giving up too much of the short-term pleasure. The same way, being in a good relationship is going to beat watching porn. And having a good career or working an enjoyable job or hacking on some code that I enjoy is going to be far more productive than playing a video game. I don't want to sound preachy, but I will just say that my love for reading came from, another one of my tweets is, read what you love until you love to read. So just fall in love with the idea of reading itself. So it's okay to read the junk food stuff. Just fall in love with reading and eventually get bored of the simple stuff and you'll go to the more interesting stuff. And I love to read enough that I don't like watching TV. I don't watch movies. People start talking about shows that they're watching on Netflix or what have you, and I give them this empty look. I don't watch shows on Netflix. They're not interesting. It's far more interesting to me to go for a walk and be meditative, and I'll be in a very happy place, or to read a book, which will be intellectually stimulating. And sure, once in a while, watch a movie with friends or with my wife, but it's a social thing. You know, I'm doing it as a way of kind of sort of being on the same common ground as them. I would never watch a movie on my own unless maybe I was trapped in like a 15-hour airplane flight and I was really bored and I run out of everything else to do and I just want to zone out. Even then, I don't think I watch a movie anymore. So I just feel like a lot of it is like finding the hacks, finding the things that make the long term feel effortless to you, and then you win.